Let me back up and explain how I ended up in this situation. Because trust me, it's complicated. My name is Nathan Pierce. I'm 29 years old, and 6 months ago, I went through what I can only describe as the breakup that shattered my entire life. His name was Jeremy, and we'd been together for 3 years. We had an apartment together in Seattle, a dog named Biscuit, and what I thought was a solid plan for our future. Then, I came home early from a work trip and found him in our bed with someone else. The breakup was nuclear. Explosive fights. Lawyers involved because we'd jointly leased the apartment. A custody battle over a dog, which I won, thankfully, and the complete dismantling of the friend group we'd built together. Most of our mutual friends sided with him, which stung more than I wanted to admit. But the worst part? The absolute worst part was losing Tyler. Tyler Hoffman was Jeremy's younger brother by 3 years. When Jeremy and I first started dating, Tyler was this quiet. Shy 23-year-old who'd just graduated college and was figuring out his life. Over the years, he'd become more than just my boyfriend's brother. He'd become my friend. My genuine friend. We bonded over our shared love of indie music. Bad sci-fi movies and coffee that was probably too expensive for what it was. Tyler was studying architecture and would often come over to our apartment to work on projects, spreading blueprints across our dining room table while I worked on my laptop beside him. We'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. He was kind in a way. It seemed rare. Thoughtful. He remembered small details about conversations we'd had weeks prior. He'd text me random architecture facts he thought I'd find interesting. When my mom was sick last year, he'd checked in on me almost daily, asking how she was doing, how I was holding up. After the breakup, I'd assumed I'd lose Tyler too. That's how these things worked, right? You lose the partner. You lose their family. It was collateral damage. But 3 weeks after Jeremy and I split, Tyler had texted me, "Hey, I know things are complicated, but I want you to know that you're still my friend. If you ever want to grab coffee and not talk about my idiot brother, I'm here." We'd met up the following week at our usual coffee shop, this tiny place in Capitol Hill, served lavender lattes, and played exclusively vinyl records. It had been awkward at first, both of us carefully avoiding mentioning Jeremy, but eventually we'd fallen into our old rhythm. Tyler had made it clear that he wasn't taking sides in the breakup. "Jeremy's my brother and I love him, but what he did was inexcusable," he'd said firmly. "You deserved better than that." Over the following months, Tyler and I had maintained our friendship, though we were both careful to keep it separate from anything involving Jeremy. We'd meet for coffee every couple of weeks, text each other random thoughts and funny observations, and slowly, I'd realized that Tyler had become one of my closest friends, which brought me to 2 weeks ago, when Tyler had called me with an unusual request. "Okay, so I know this is random," he'd started, which immediately put me on alert because nothing good ever followed that phrase. "But do you remember my friend Caleb? From college? The one getting married in Portland? That's the one. So his wedding is next weekend, and I'm in the wedding party. But here's the thing, my plus one just bailed on me." "Bailed how?" "She got cast in some play in New York and has to start rehearsals immediately. Which is great for her, but now I'm going to be the only person in the wedding party without a date. And Caleb's been giving me grief about it because apparently he needs final numbers for seating arrangements or something." I could see where this was going. "Tyler, before you say no, just hear me out," he'd rushed on. "It would just be for the weekend. We'd drive down Friday morning, the wedding is Saturday evening, and we'd drive back Sunday. You'd have your own room at the hotel, obviously. You wouldn't have to do anything except show up and help me avoid the inevitable 'why are you single' conversations from my great arts. Would Jeremy be there?" I'd asked carefully. "No, he wasn't invited. Caleb knows what happened, and he made it very clear that Jeremy isn't welcome. So it would just be me, you, and a bunch of people who either don't know you or really like you." I'd hesitated. The logical part of my brain was screaming that this was a bad idea. Going to a wedding with my ex's brother? That was a recipe for confusion and complicated feelings. But the other part, the part that was frankly tired of sitting alone in my apartment every weekend, The part that missed having social plans and getting dressed up and feeling like a person instead of just a collection of post-breakup wounds. That part was tempted. I'll pay for everything, Tyler had added. Hotel, meals, gas for the drive. Think of it as a mini vacation. When's the last time you left Seattle? He had a point. I'd been so buried in work and self-pity that I hadn't gone anywhere in months. Fine, I'd said, probably too quickly. But you're buying me an extremely expensive dinner to make up for this? Deal, Nathan? Seriously? Thank you. You're saving my life. That conversation had been 2 weeks ago. Now, standing in this hotel room with one bed instead of the 2 rooms Tyler had supposedly booked, I was seriously questioning my life choices. Okay, so I definitely booked 2 rooms, Tyler said, scrolling frantically through his phone. Look, here's the confirmation email. 2 queen rooms, non-smoking, for Friday and Saturday night. I looked over his shoulder at his phone screen. He was right, the booking clearly stated 2 rooms. Maybe we can get this sorted out at the front desk, I suggested, trying to keep my voice level despite the rising panic in my chest. The thought of sharing a bed with Tyler made my stomach do weird flips that I absolutely did not want to examine. We headed back down to the lobby, where the same cheerful desk clerk who'd checked us in greeted us with a smile that faltered when she saw our expressions. Is everything okay, gentlemen? We booked 2 rooms, Tyler explained, showing her his confirmation. But we were only given 1 key, and there's only 1 bed in the room. The clerk's smile became apologetic as she typed on her computer. Oh dear, let me look into this. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, her expression growing more concerned with each passing second. I see the issue. There was a system error during your booking. It looks like the 2nd room was never actually reserved, even though you received a confirmation. Can we book a 2nd room now? I asked. I wish I could help you, but we're completely sold out. There's a conference in town this weekend, plus the Hampton wedding party. She looked genuinely distressed. I'm so sorry. I can call some other hotels in the area if you'd like. Tyler pulled out his phone. I'll do it, thanks. We retreated to a corner of the lobby while Tyler started calling hotels. I watched his expression grow more frustrated with each call. After the 7th hotel, he hung up and ran a hand through his dark hair, a gesture I'd learned meant he was stressed. Nothing, he said. Everything's booked solid. The closest hotel with availability is 45 minutes away, and they only have 1 room left, also with 1 bed. Maybe one of us could drive back to Seattle, I suggested weakly, though the thought of a 3-hour drive after we'd just arrived made me exhausted. Nathan, you drove the whole way here because my car's in the shop. I'm not asking you to drive back tonight, he sighed, looking miserable. Look, I know this is weird, but we're both adults. It's just sleeping. We can share the bed for 2 nights, right? I'll even build a pillow wall if that makes you feel better. It's a reasonable part of my brain knew he was right. It was just sleeping. We were friends. Adults. People shared beds platonically all the time. But the other part of my brain, the part that had been noticing for months now, how Tyler's eyes crinkled when he laughed. How he absent-mindedly bit his lower lip when he was thinking. How he'd filled out since college and now had the build of someone who actually went to the gym. That part was in full panic mode. Because somewhere along the way, in the 6 months since my breakup with Jeremy, I'd developed feelings for Tyler. Real feelings. The kind that made my heart race when he texted me. The kind that made me look forward to our coffee dates more than anything else in my week. The kind that I'd been desperately trying to suppress because Tyler was straight, my ex's brother, and completely off limits for about 17 different reasons. Nathan? Tyler was looking at me with concern. If this really makes you uncomfortable, I can take the floor. Or I'll drive to that other hotel. Whatever you need. Oh, so Tyler always putting other people's comfort first. It was one of the things I loved about him. Loved, God. When had that happened? No, it's fine, I heard myself say. We're adults. We can share a bed. It's not a big deal. Tyler's relief was visible. Thank you, seriously. I'm so sorry about this mess. It's not your fault. Technology fails us all eventually. We grabbed our bags and headed back up to the room. The elevator ride was quiet, both of us lost in our own thoughts. When we got back to the room, Tyler immediately started unpacking his suit for tomorrow's wedding, hanging it carefully in the closet. I'm going to jump in the shower, he announced. Wedding rehearsal dinner's in an hour, and I need to look presentable. Sure. No problem. Once the bathroom door closed and I heard the water start. I sat on the edge of the bed, the singular bed, and tried to process the situation. 2 nights. I could handle 2 nights of sharing a bed with the guy I had. Completely inappropriate feelings for it would be fine. I'd sleep on the very edge of my side. We'd probably both be so tired from wedding festivities that we'd pass out immediately, and before I knew it, the weekend would be over and we'd be back to our normal friendship routine in Seattle. This was fine. Everything was fine. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Sarah. How's Portland? Having fun playing wedding date with Mystery Man? I hadn't told Sarah that my mystery date was Tyler. She knew about my friendship with him. But I downplayed exactly how close we'd gotten. Mostly because I knew if I talked about him too much, she'd immediately pick up on my feelings. And then she'd give me one of her famous, Nathan, honey. We need to talk about your choices lectures, I typed back. Good so far. Hotel is nice. Wedding is tomorrow, she responded immediately. You're being weird. What aren't you telling me? I stared at my phone. Sarah had this uncanny ability to sense when I was hiding something, even via text. Just tired from the drive? Unhung. Call me tomorrow and give me the full debrief. I want details. I sent back a thumbs up emoji just as Tyler emerged from the bathroom in a cloud of steam, wearing dress pants and a crisp white button-down shirt that he was still buttoning. For a moment, caught a glimpse of his stomach-defined abs that suggested those gym visits were paying off before he finished buttoning the shirt. Bathroom's all yours, he said, moving to the mirror to fix his hair. Fair warning, I used all the hot water. Sorry, you're a monster, I said, grabbing my own clothes for the dinner. He grinned at me in the mirror. You love it. If only he knew how true that statement was becoming. The rehearsal dinner was held at a trendy farm table restaurant in Portland's Pearl District. The space was beautiful exposed brick, Edison bulb lighting, long communal tables decorated with wildflowers and candles. About 40 people were gathered. It's mostly members of the wedding party and close family. Tyler introduced me to Caleb, the groom, who was a tall, friendly guy with an infectious laugh. So you're the mysterious Nathan I've heard so much about, Caleb said, shaking my hand enthusiastically. Tyler talks about you constantly, he does. I glanced at Tyler, who'd suddenly become very interested in the appetizer menu. Well, yeah. Nathan said the funniest thing the other day. Nathan recommended this great coffee shop. Nathan thinks I should. Caleb was cut off by Tyler, elbowing him in the ribs. Okay, he gets it, Tyler said, his cheeks slightly pink. Don't you have a fiance to go pay attention to? Caleb laughed and moved on, leaving Tyler and me standing awkwardly by the bar. Sorry about him, Tyler said. He thinks he's hilarious. It's fine. I was trying very hard not to read into the fact that Tyler apparently talked about me. Friends talked about friends. That was normal. We found our seats at one of the long tables, ending up between Caleb's sister Maya and Tyler's college roommate Josh. Maya was hilarious, regaling us with stories of Caleb's various embarrassing moments growing up, while Josh peppered me with questions about my work in marketing. So how do you two know each other? Maya asked at one point, gesturing between Tyler and me. Tyler and I exchanged a quick glance. We'd discussed this in the car. We'd agreed to keep the explanation simple and not mention Jeremy at all. We met through mutual friends a few years ago, Tyler said smoothly. Became friends over our shared terrible tastes in movies. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is a cinematic masterpiece, I protested. It's literally about tomatoes that kill people. Exactly. Masterpiece. Laughed. You two are cute together. Oh, we're not, I started. We're just friends, Tyler finished. But something flickered across his face that I couldn't quite read. Maya said with a knowing smile that made me deeply uncomfortable. The dinner continued with multiple courses of incredible food: roasted beet salad, pansered salmon, a chocolate dessert that was probably illegal in several states. Wine flowed freely, and as the evening wore on, everyone relaxed into easy conversation and laughter. I noticed Tyler was quieter than usual, nursing his glass of wine and seeming lost in thought. At one point, when Maya and Josh were deep in conversation about something, I leaned over to him. "You okay?" I asked quietly. He turned to me, and up close, I could see something conflicted in his eyes. "Yeah, just thinking about. Nothing important." He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Having fun?" "Actually, yeah. Your friends are great. They like you." "Josh told me earlier that you're surprisingly cool for someone," Tyler brought. "I'm going to choose to take that as a compliment. You should." Our knees bumped under the table, and neither of us moved away. I told myself it was just because the seating was cramped, but my heart rate still picked up at the contact. After dinner, Caleb's fiancé, Marcus, stood up to give a toast. He spoke beautifully about love, commitment, and building a life with someone who feels like home. As he talked, I found myself thinking about what that must feel like to be so certain about someone that you'd stand in front of all your friends and family and promise them forever. I'd thought I'd had that with Jeremy. Clearly, I'd been wrong. When I glanced at Tyler, I found him already looking at me. For a moment, something passed between us, something electric and terrifying and impossible to name. Then someone clinked their glass, breaking the moment, and Tyler looked away. We got back to the hotel around 11. Both of us had drunk enough wine to feel pleasantly buzzed, but not drunk. As we rode the elevator up to our floor, Tyler kept humming the song that had been playing at the restaurant, some indie folk tune about growing old with someone. "You're in a good mood," I observed. "I like weddings," he said. "They make me feel hopeful, you know? Like maybe love actually works out sometimes."
How?
"Even after watching your brother's relationships implode?" He laughed, but there was an edge to it, especially after that. "Jeremy might be a disaster, but it doesn't mean the rest of us are doomed." We got to our room, and suddenly the bed situation felt much more real. One bed, two people. Years of friendship and months of suppressed feelings all about to be tested by close proximity and wine-loosened inhibitions. "I'm going to change," I announced. Grabbing my sleep clothes and retreating to the bathroom, I took my time, brushing my teeth thoroughly, washing my face, checking my phone for messages that weren't there, anything to delay the inevitable moment of getting into that bed with Tyler. When I finally emerged, Tyler was already under the covers on the left side of the bed, wearing a t-shirt and scrolling through his phone. He'd left the right side turned down for me like we were some kind of couple who'd done this 1,000 times before. "I made a pillow wall," he said, gesturing to the two pillows he'd arranged down the center of the bed. For propriety, couldn't help but smile. "Very thoughtful." I slid into my side of the bed, trying to take up as little space as possible. The bed was actually fairly big for a queen, but it still felt intimate. I could smell Tyler's shampoos, something woodsy and clean. I could feel the warmth radiating from his side of the mattress. This was torture. "Nathan?" Tyler said after a few minutes of silence. "Yeah. Can I ask you something personal?" My heart started racing. "Sure." He was quiet for a moment, clearly gathering his thoughts. "Have you dated anyone since Jeremy? Like even casually?" The question surprised me. "No. I mean, I've been on a few first dates that went nowhere, but nothing serious." "Why?" "Just curious." "You don't really talk about that stuff." "There's nothing to talk about," I said honestly. "Dating apps are exhausting, and most guys either want something super casual or they want to move in together after 3 dates. I haven't found anyone who feels ... right. What would right feel like?" I thought about that, trying to put into words something I'd only articulated to myself in the quiet moments before sleep. "I think it would feel easy. Not in the sense that there wouldn't be challenges, but easy like you don't have to perform or pretend. Like you can just be yourself and that's enough." I paused. "Like friendship, but with the added element of attraction and romance." "That sounds nice," Tyler said softly. "What about you?" I asked, even though I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the answer. "Are you seeing anyone?" "No." The word came out quickly, almost defensively. "I went on a few dates last month with this girl from work, but it fizzled out." "Why?" He was quiet for so long I thought he might not answer. Then it didn't feel right. She was great on paper, smart, funny, attractive, But something was missing, and I couldn't figure out what. Maybe you just haven't met the right person yet. Maybe. Another long pause. Nathan, can I tell you something? And can you promise not to make it weird? My mouth went dry. Okay, I've been thinking a lot lately about what I want, who I am, and I'm realizing that maybe I've been wrong about some things. Or not wrong exactly, but incomplete in my understanding. I didn't trust myself to speak, so I just waited. Being around you these past few months, getting to know you better after everything with Jeremy fell apart, it's made me question assumptions I've had about myself, about what I'm attracted to, what I want in a relationship. He took a shaky breath. I think I might not be as straight as I always assumed I was. The world seemed to tilt. I gripped the sheets, trying to anchor myself. Oh, I know this is probably weird to hear, especially given everything. You were with my brother, and now I am lying here telling you that I've been having these feelings, and God, I'm making this so awkward. Tyler rolled onto my side to face him, the pillow all be damned. In the dim light from the window, I could see his face, vulnerable and scared and hopeful all at once. It's not weird. Or maybe it is, but that's okay. Figuring yourself out is never a straightforward process. Have you? He swallowed hard. Have you noticed anything? Like, have I been giving off signals or something? Because I honestly can't tell if this is obvious to everyone but me, or if I've been successfully hiding it. I haven't noticed anything that would make me think you weren't straight. I said carefully, which was technically true. Tyler had never done anything overtly not straight around me, but there had been moments, fleeting glances. The way he seemed to prioritize our time together, the fact that he'd maintained our friendship, despite how complicated it must have been with Jeremy, that had made me wonder if maybe, possibly, there might be something there. But I'd written those moments off as wishful thinking on my part. When did you start questioning things? I asked. He laughed nervously. Honestly, the night you and Jeremy broke up. Jeremy called me all upset, going on about how you'd overreacted to what happened. And all I could think was that you deserved so much better than him. That if I had someone like you, I would never. He stopped abruptly, like he'd revealed too much. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. You'd never what? I'd never take you for granted like that, he finished quietly. I'd never risk losing you. The air between us felt charged, heavy with possibility and danger in equal measure. I knew I should be careful, should think about all the reasons this was complicated. But wine and proximity and months of suppressed feelings were making me reckless. Tyler, I said carefully, are you saying you have feelings for me? He closed his eyes, like he couldn't bear to look at me while he answered. I think I've had feelings for you for a while now. I just didn't let myself acknowledge what they were. It felt too impossibly you're my friend. You dated my brother. You're a guy when I'd only ever dated women. There were too many reasons to ignore it. What changed? Tonight. Watching you at dinner. Seeing you fit so perfectly into my life. Realizing that the person I look forward to talking to most is you. Realizing that when Marcus was giving that toast about finding someone who feels like home, I was thinking about you. He finally opened his eyes, looking directly at me. I know this is probably the worst timing ever, and I'm sorry for dumping this on you. You can totally pretend I never said anything. We can go back to just being friends, and I kissed him. It wasn't planned. 1 second I was listening to him spiral, and the next I was closing the distance between us, pressing my lips to his in a kiss that was gentle and tentative and absolutely world-tilting for a moment. Tyler froze in surprise. Then he kissed me back. His lips were softer than I'd imagined, and I'd imagined it more times than I wanted to admit. The kiss started slow, exploratory, both of us figuring out the angles and rhythms. Then Tyler's hand came up to cup my jaw, and the kiss deepened. Becoming more urgent, I'd kissed plenty of people in my life. But nothing had ever felt like this. Like every nerve ending in my body was suddenly alive. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be when we finally broke apart. Both breathing hard, Tyler's eyes were wide with wonder. Wow. He breathed. Yeah, can we do that again? Instead of answering, I kissed him again. This time there was no hesitation from either of us. Tyler pulled me closer, eliminating the space between us, his fingers threading through my hair. I ran my hand down his side, feeling the warmth of him through his t-shirt. We kissed like we'd been starving for it, like we were making up for months of restraint and suppressed want. At some point, the pillow wall between us got knocked to the floor, neither of us caring enough to retrieve it. When we finally broke apart again, Tyler was smiling a genuine smile that made my heart clench. "I can't believe we just did that," he said. "Regrets?" "None. You. Not even close." He laughed, pressing his forehead against mine. "So what now?" It was a good question. We'd just blown past about 17 different boundaries, and the rational part of my brain was starting to catch up, listing all the reasons this was complicated. Tyler was still figuring out his sexuality. He was my ex's brother. We lived in the same city and had interconnected friend groups. If this went badly, the fallout would be catastrophic. But looking at Tyler, at the hope and happiness in his eyes, at the way he was looking at me like I was something precious, I couldn't bring myself to care about the complications. "I think," I said carefully, "we take this slow. See where it goes. No pressure, no expectations, just ... See what this is?" "Like that," Tyler said softly. Then, more nervously, "Nathan, I should tell you, I've never done this before. Been with a guy. So if I'm terrible at it or do something wrong..." "You're not terrible at it," I assured him. "You're great at it. That kiss was ... Yeah." He smiled, looking relieved. "Yeah. Definitely, yeah." We settled back into the bed, this time with Tyler's head on my chest, my arm around him. It felt natural, like we'd been doing this for years instead of minutes. "Nathan." Tyler's voice was quiet in the darkness. Thank you for being patient with me, for letting me figure this out." I pressed a kiss to the top of his head. "There's nowhere else I'd rather be." We fell asleep like that, tangled together in a way that would have been unthinkable just hours before, both of us hopeful and terrified about what tomorrow would bring. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the curtains and the weight of another person pressed against me. For a disoriented moment, I couldn't remember where I was. Then everything from the night before came rushing back: the confession, the kiss, the way Tyler had held me like I was something precious. Tyler, I looked down to find him still asleep. His dark hair mussed, his face peaceful in a way I'd rarely seen when he was awake. One of his arms was thrown across my waist, and our legs were tangled together under the sheets. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Sarah. "It's 11 a.m. and I haven't heard from you. Are you alive? Did Mystery Man murder you?" I carefully extracted one arm and texted back, "Alive. Things got complicated. We'll call later." Her response was immediate. "Complicated? Nathan James Pierce? You call me right now." I smiled and put my phone on silent. Sarah would have to wait. Tyler stirred beside me, his eyes fluttering open. For a moment, he looked confused. Then his gaze focused on me, and a slow smile spread across his face. "Morning," he said, his voice rough with sleep. "Morning." We lay there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then Tyler seemed to remember what had happened, and a flush crept up his neck. "So that actually happened," he said. "I didn't dream it. Definitely happened." "Good." He shifted closer, pressing a soft kiss to my shoulder. "I was worried I'd wake up and find out my brain had invented the whole thing. How do you feel?" I asked carefully. "About everything?" Tyler was quiet for a moment, clearly thinking through his answer. "Honestly, I feel good. A little overwhelmed, definitely confused about some things, but good. Better than I've felt in a long time." Propped himself up on one elbow to look at me properly. "What about you? Any regrets in the light of day?" "No regrets," I said honestly. "Though I am aware that this is complicated, the Jeremy thing, among other things." Tyler's expression grew more serious. "Nathan, I need you to know that this has nothing to do with Jeremy. I'm not trying to compete with him or prove something. My feelings for you are completely separate from whatever he is or was. I believe you. But other people might not see it that way. Then they don't matter." He said it with such conviction that I almost believed him. "The only people whose opinions I care about are yours and mine. And maybe my parents. But that's a bridge we can cross later." The mention of his parents, Jeremy's parents, sent a spike of anxiety through me. They'd always been kind to me when Jeremy and I were together, but how would they feel about this? About their younger son, dating their older son's ex? "Hey," Tyler said, seeming to sense my spiral. "Let's not borrow trouble, okay? Today is about Caleb's wedding and celebrating love and being present. We can figure out the rest later." He was right, of course. We had enough to think about without adding potential future complications to the mix. "Okay," I agreed. "One day at a time." "One day at a time," he echoed, then kissed me softly. "Now, we should probably get up. The wedding is at 4, and I need to be there early for photos." We took turns showering and getting ready, falling into an easy rhythm that felt domestic and comfortable. Tyler kept stealing glances at me, like he was checking to make sure I was still there, still real. Each time our eyes met, he'd smile, sometimes shy, sometimes heated. Always genuine. I watched him get ready in his groomsman's suit, a charcoal gray three-piece that fit him perfectly, and had to actively remind myself not to stare. "You look good," I said when he emerged from the bathroom adjusting his tie. "Yeah." He turned to the mirror, frowning at his reflection. "I always feel weird in suits. Trust me." "You look really good." He met my eyes in the mirror, and something heated passed between us. "We're never going to make it to this wedding if you keep looking at me like that." "Like what? Like you want to ruin this suit?" I laughed, heat flooding my che. "Kays, get out of here before we're both late." He grabbed his keys and wallet, then paused at the door. "Meet you at the venue? It's that garden place about 20 minutes from here. I'll be there." He crossed back to me, cupped my face in his hands, and kissed me thoroughly. "Just wanted to do that one more time before I have to be professional wedding party guy." Then he was gone, leaving me standing in the hotel room, touching my lips and wondering if this was really happening. The wedding venue was stunning. A historic garden estate with manicured lawns, towering oak trees and flower beds bursting with late spring blooms. White chairs were arranged in rows on the lawn, facing an arch decorated with white roses and greenery. A string quartet played softly as guests arrived and found their seats. I was shown to a seat in the middle section, surrounded by people I didn't know. Part of me wished I could sit with Tyler, but he was in the wedding party, standing up at the front with the other drums. When he spotted me in the crowd, his whole face lit up, and he gave me a small wave. Several people around me noticed and looked between us with interest. I could practically see them connecting dots, making assumptions. The ceremony was beautiful. Caleb and Marcus exchanged vows they'd written themselves promises about partnership and growth, about choosing each other every day, about building a life that honored both of their truths. More than once, I found myself tearing up at one point, and Marcus was talking about how Caleb had helped him become a better version of himself. I glanced at Tyler and found him already looking at me. The intensity in his gaze made my breath catch. He smiled, soft and private, just for me. After the ceremony, there was a cocktail hour while the wedding party took photos. I mingled awkwardly, nursing a glass of wine and making small talk with strangers. Maya, Caleb's sister from the night before, found me and looped her arm through mine, so she said, with a knowing smile. "You and Tyler seem cozy." "We're friends," I said, which was technically true even if it was woefully incomplete. "And I'm the Queen of England." She laughed at my expression. "Relax, I'm just teasing." But for what it's worth, I've known Tyler for years through Caleb, and have never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at